And I thought he was going to come over the counter and just destroy this manager over some cappuccino. So like when people say that they love coffee or that they like coffee, like it's true. And this is just gas station coffee.
Inspired by the adventures of our nurses, therapists, and techs, A Beer with Atlas is the only healthcare traveling, craft beer drinking podcast. Each week, we'll open a few beers, talk about the brewery and the style of beer, and then dive into some research curated specifically for each episode. In the end, we hope each one sounds like a conversation you'd have with your friends while enjoying a few cold ones.
Welcome to another
I'm Dolan.
Yet.
Wow. What the? This is only the
What,
second.
are we hammered?
This is only the second one we've recorded today.
Wow.
Welcome to another episode of A Beer with Atlas. I'm Rich.
I'm Brian.
I'm Dolan.
Are we in a library?
Well, I guess.
Look, I was just trying to get it out.
Yeah,
I don't
it
even
works.
know. I don't even know where that was. So, Uncommon Stout, Bent River Brewing Company is our beer this week, brought to us by Atlas recruiter Mark Lau. He was coming through town. He still is very active. As much as he's a recruiter for us, he's still very active coaching. He does a ton of coaching, volleyball. I think he coaches some basketball. And he was coming through town to do something. I can't remember. Something coaching related. And he sends me an email, and he's like, hey, man, I'm coming to town. What do you want? And I said, I am not familiar with the Quad Cities at all.
Yeah.
So
Whatever
you want. And he brought a couple ones that you guys didn't get because I drank them already.
I mean, that happens.
It happens. And then I saved this one because, one, the label is fantastic.
It is.
Two, it's a coffee stout.
Yep.
And three, it's been around for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Long enough that they brand this as their top selling beer.
Oh, okay.
This is their flagship.
Nice.
So
You don't normally see that as a stout
No.
for brewery.
So let's get into this one.
Let's get into it.
I love that it just says "Get Bent" on it.
Now I'm going to sing a little something for you guys.
Okay, sing it.
It's all coming back to me now. I have consumed this before.
You have. This was the teaser from a couple of weeks, or from last week, I believe. You checked this in on June 28th, 2013.
That was very early. Well, not very early, but it was early in my beer journey. I think I've been on tap for almost 10 years now.
Wow. I think this might have been, I've seen a couple of 2012 check-ins from you before.
Yeah, I think I started in November of 11.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
Ooh, that smells good.
It does. It smells like...
That smells like a coffee.
It smells like coffee.
And are you a coffee stout fan?
I am generally not.
That's what I thought, but you love dark coffee.
I love dark coffee.
This is so weird.
Here's how much I love coffee. If you said, Rich, if you were a doctor, you said, Rich, you're going to die if you don't give up either beer or coffee, I would say, beer, we've had a good journey.
Wow.
I love coffee. Man, that first when that coffee hits my mouth, that first drink in the morning is like,
good.
It's like magic.
Yeah, see, I smell coffee and I immediately have to go to the bathroom.
One or two? One. Sometimes two.
it's
Okay,
definitely two.
gotcha.
Two times? Maybe. One time?
Oh,
Or-
definitely.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Oh,
Ooh,
okay.
I just want to smell this.
I
This was a
almost-
candle?
Brian is the king of memes. If you don't follow Brian,
you should, yeah.
on now recently you've had a couple ones like, well, that might have been too soon, but then that's okay.
Those are fun.
Those are
I
fun.
just want you to feel a feel away. Feel a certain way about something.
You just want to rock the boat, right?
A little
Just
bit.
rock-
I don't want anybody falling out.
Right, but just rock it a little bit, scare us a little. There was a meme I just saw recently, two guys talking, and it says, Coffee, I'm looking for some extra energy out of you today. And Coffee says, all I can give you today is poop.
Yep.
Yeah, which is true sometimes. But that's it. So
That's the risk you take.
It's weird. That's why I gotta opt to the Red Bull.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
just like a straight cup of cold coffee.
wow. It's almost like
It's like cold brew.
let's let it warm. Yes, no, you let it warm up a little bit. It might be like that little extra coffee at the end of your cup. You don't want to
Yeah.
let it go to waste, so you just drink it.
Yeah, shoot it quick.
Yep.
We'll see. I guarantee this will change over time.
No, that's
Wow.
it's-
I mean,
that-
it tastes just like it smells.
I could see why this is their top selling beer.
I'm kind of surprised.
I guess I'm not. I don't
Really?
know.
I feel like this isn't that approachable for most people. Because
Okay.
it does taste like a cold cup of coffee.
Let's take your father-in-law for example.
Yeah.
Okay. Why does he love Pint 9 so much?
Oh, coffee. He's like you.
I-
He's got to drink like 15 cups of coffee just to get straight in the day. So this would be something he would like. Yeah.
But it's that sort of thing. Like it's not, we make fun of milkshake IPAs, but if you
Sure.
put one in front of us,
We'll drink it, yeah.
We would drink it
Yeah.
like it was the last
I
beer
love
on earth.
milkshake IPAs. So
I do too.
But like Pint 9
Yeah.
isn't producing that. Their best selling beer arguably is Oso Cafe,
probably.
which is, and this is why he likes it.
Is it?
That's
Do you
why he
think it's
likes it.
because coffee culture is what it is now?
Yeah.
Like,
I think
well,
so.
it's everybody can relate, right?
yeah,
Like,
everybody's had coffee.
Everybody's had coffee.
Yeah. I guess that's a good entryway. If you walked into this place and you'd never been to a brewery and be like, oh, I don't know. I don't know what I like.
Oh, you like cold brew coffee?
Hell yeah, I do.
Okay, drink this.
Try
Try
that.
this. Yeah.
Oh, it looks really dark. Just drink it.
Well, I know with my wife, coffee stouts were her gateway.
Oh,
You know,
Interesting. So 2 locations, the Quad Cities. I wrote this down, so it's important to understand what the Quad Cities are. If you're not from the Midwest, you may not know.
I have a lot of information on this.
Ooh, good.
So you
Okay.
tease us.
So I will tease. There are Quad 5, obviously, cities that make up. On one side is Iowa, the other side is Illinois.
Dole and I are
did you say quad 5?
Quad. Is that 5?
no.
No.
One. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3.
We're leaving
4,
this
5.
in.
Davenport, Bettendorf,
Yeah.
Rock Island, Moline, and
East Moline. That's one city.
It says so. Quad is 4.
Yeah.
I
Quad
guess
is 4.
Okay.
Think about like a
Yeah.
4-wheeler, a quad.
Quad.
Yeah.
See, and
But there's 5 cities here. There's
Well, it's like St. Louis and East St. Louis. Is that one city or 2?
well, you don't want to go to East. St.
No, you
Louis.
don't. You want to turn
Sioux
around.
City, South Sioux City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's 4.
Okay. Well, there's 4.
I see. I looked that way, and you looked at me, and I was like, let's just let him keep going.
You guys are good friends. I appreciate that. All right. Bent River Brewing Brewpub is located at 1413 Fifth Avenue in Moline, Iowa. And then Bent River Brewery Bar and Event Room is
Let's take
located...
2.
Take 2.
Moline, Illinois.
Moline, Iowa.
Moline, Illinois.
Moline.
Yeah.
No, that's not right.
Moline's in Illinois.
I wrote this down.
I know.
I wrote this down.
This is
Moline,
Rich's bloopers
Illinois?
episode. Yeah.
Illinois.
Yeah, Moline,
Okay,
Illinois.
Davenport, Bettendorf on the
Those are in
side.
Iowa. And then you got Rock Island or whatever.
I promise
And
you,
Moline.
I haven't drank that much. I really haven't.
Oh, boy.
Now maybe after the coffee stout. Okay, Moline, Illinois.
Yeah, there you go.
Bent River Brewery Bar and Events Room is located at 152 24th Street, Rock Island, Illinois.
Yes.
There you go. So I will let you do the Quad City research.
Yeah.
But Bent River Brewing was conceived by Tim Koster of Koski Homebrew Fixins, Ltd. Homebrew Fixins.
1993. That
1993.
place started.
93.
Yeah.
Who is home brewing in 93?
The guys that started like, Empyrean
Okay.
or a lot of those mid-90s breweries, Founders, places like that. Those
so
guys.
Koski Homebrew Fixins was located in downtown Moline. In 1996, Bent River opened the bar, their very first bar, open to the public with their own brew, without their own brewing equipment. So they just opened a bar.
Yeah.
Kind of odd. I thought maybe they would utilize some of their own equipment.
Well, I thought it was, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought it was just stuff from the homebrew. So it was like stuff that the people made at the homebrew store.
And that's what they were selling
Yeah,
there?
they didn't have actual
Maybe.
equipment. They just had homebrew stuff.
Oh,
So
okay.
small batches and That's what I envisioned. It was like a little tasting room inside the homebrew store.
Which would have been pretty kick-ass.
Yeah.
Honestly, if
There
that's
would
what
have
it
been
was.
much like that.
A few years later, they added their own brewing, and they did their first beer they ever did was a pale ale. So, not
That
surprising.
seems on point for
Yeah.
early 90s.
Yeah, why not? 2009, a local restaurateur, which I always thought was a fun word.
It is.
Restaurateur.
It's fancy.
And patron of Bent River named Joel Krogman joined the team and began brewing, and then they transformed it into a full-service operational brew pub after that. So, didn't really start until 2009. And
So
now...
we're at, 12 years now?
Yeah. And now they produce over 10,000 barrels a year. Won their first GABF in 2007 for a beer called Mississippi Blonde Ale. So,
Well, I think, and I don't know this for a fact because I didn't research this part, but I think the Bent River is the Mississippi River
I assume so.
because that's what flows through those towns that we talked about, the 4 towns in the Quad Cities.
Okay, you're right.
So could
There
you
we
say
go.
get Mississippi'd?
I mean, you could. It just doesn't sound cool as Get Bent.
I don't know.
I wrote down a couple other things from the brewery because, like I said before, I like to look at their site, but I don't like to see the story stuff. I tend to gravitate towards, this time, the food. So this place is a brew pub, and they had what looks like an amazing pastrami sandwich. They had a Nashville hot chicken.
Yes.
And then I've seen this every once in a while, but this was very like in bold on their website. For $10, you can buy a round of beers for the kitchen staff.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. And then you hear when they do it, I don't know if they ring a bell or something, but you'll hear the kitchen staff like erupt in cheers because they got a round of beers for after work. So it's $10. You can get a beer for everybody, which is a discount. Because, you probably get maybe 2 beers for yourself.
Oh,
Or
sure.
you can buy a whole round for the kitchen
For the
staff.
kitchen staff. So you're just buying it at cost.
Yeah.
Then for the...
So that sounds pretty good.
And they're not drinking during the day.
Yeah. We'll go with that.
We'll go with that. Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm curious how that works because, like, if somebody was like $100 kitchen staff,
Like, and then the people that
The
come
rest
in
of the restaurant's shut down then.
Yeah,
Everybody's
exactly.
hammered. You got to get Tombstone Pizza.
Yeah, if you're ordering hot chicken at 7 o'clock at night, you're not
Sorry,
getting
bro.
it. No.
I wrote down a few of the other beers that I saw on their website that looked interesting.
Yep.
Guess what? They have a peach milkshake dippa. So we're talking about milkshake IPAs. Well, guess
Yes.
what? They make one. They had a beer called Jingle Java, which is their Christmas beer. So a Christmas coffee beer. They have a sweet potato ale.
I saw that.
Jalapeno pepper ale for Dolan. I wrote that one down. And then they have one that's called the Bent River Apple Ale. So they make their own like Red's Apple Ale, but it's theirs. And they had different beers. They had 2 different tap rooms, right? So each, from what I could tell on the website, the beers were different at each location a little bit. So maybe 25% different from one to the other, but the main stuff was the same. So you could go to a different place and try different things, or you could get the same beer, multiple locations.
I figured you would gravitate towards their labels because their labels are pretty fantastic.
Yeah, they were cool. That's what caught the Jingle Java was a reindeer mounted above the fireplace with stockings on it. So
Nice.
I was like, okay, I'm a fan of that. I don't know that we talked about this really in the description. We did say it was a coffee stout, right?
Yes.
I think, yeah, here it is, right on the label. Oatmeal Stout with coffee.
Actually, okay, yeah, I wrote that down.
So we're
Yeah.
going to do a little oatmeal stout research because I don't know that we've ever really dealt into that.
Nope.
So it was a British thing. Started out that way.
Okay.
They used oats in their brewing process, where we would use, wheat, what other rye, grain, what other grains, right?
Barley, whatever.
Yes,
Okay.
they were using oats.
Okay.
For these darker beers, specifically in Scotland and Yorkshire, and this was in the 1600s all the way up till about the 1890s.
Okay.
And then in 1890s, it kind of, towards the end of that, it just kind of went away. We've talked about that before with other beer styles disappearing and then coming back, basically with home brew. People be looking at old recipes and be like, oh, I think I could actually make that. I did write this down. There was a newspaper ad in Aberdeen, which I think was not Washington, but maybe somewhere in England. If there's an Aberdeen, England, I don't know.
Okay.
But it comes from the Aberdeen Journal. And it says, Oatmeal Stout, most nourishing and strengthening, strongly recommended for invalids. See medical opinions. Brewed from oatmeal, malt, and hops only. And that's really it. That's what this beer is oatmeal, flaked oats, or back then they did call it oatmeal, and then malt and hops. That's it. There was a little tiny brewery that was called Maclay's, and that was in England as well. And that was their like flagship beer, we would call it nowadays, right?
Okay.
But that's what they were making. So in 1905, this beer was like I guess you'd call it an oatmeal stout then. They called it a strong, which we've talked about the differences there. But 13% of the grist, which is the grain bill, was oats or oatmeal. And then by 1966, it was a third, so 33%. So it was really pumped it up.
Okay.
This beer, the one that we're talking about, Maclay's or whatever, was like given to or suggested for nursing mothers and also ailing kids, because the oats were supposed to have some sort of like healing properties and like just be good for you. It was billed as a like healthy beer.
Okay.
And that was something, if you had a baby, they would be like, well, drink one of these oatmeal stouts a day and it will help produce milk for your kid or whatever. So that was something that was, said. They were about the only people making that sort of beer. When it went out of style was around 1900, and it didn't really come back in until 1980, and that was with Samuel Smith.
Yes.
So we've talked about them. They have that double chocolate stout I think we've either had or tried or whatever, but they also have an oatmeal stout.
Okay.
And that's the one that really brings it back from the grave and makes it widely available. Homebrewers started doing it too. So late 70s, early 80s, they kick around some recipes. They start adding oats in. The reason that you add it, and I've done this with pale ales before with homebrew, and stouts too, it just gives it more of a silky or smooth mouthfeel. So it kind of mellows that out, almost like a nitro without the bubble situation difference. You know? And then it gives it just a little bit fuller body, so a little thicker. But the ABV still stays relatively low. So we're talking, usually these beers are around 5% to 6%. I think this one says
6.4. Yeah.
So
you can see that. I mean, there's definitely some carbonation here, but yeah, you can definitely see it. It is thicker.
It's a little, and that's what it's for, to smooth it out. And then it's also usually paired with these sort of coffee beers to kind of mellow out that coffee punch. Just supposed to kind of like, wipe the slate, and you'll have that stuff. These kind of beers, these oatmeal stouts, pair well with rich foods. Yeah. Chocolate, caramel, dark fruits, said game dishes. Yeah. And then stews. You got a stew going. Grilled meats. So I'm picturing like old school English tavern, bite a hunk of meat, eat some bread, drink some of this, and you're setting good.
Making a stew with this, like that's
definitely.
Yeah.
I use this a lot in chili. I'll use a coffee stout.
Yep.
I wrote down just a few other ones that are in the United States that are available pretty much across the United States, and especially the East Coast. So if you're out and about and you see one of these and you want to give this style a try, Young's Oatmeal Stout. So Young's is another British like brand or label. They have the purple. They have the double chocolate stout we've tried before. They have a purple label on their bottle, but they're just called Young's. Okay. And it's not, I guess it's usually in the same section of the coolers like Guinness, that sort of stuff.
Or the Samuel Smiths or whatever. Yeah, okay.
Harpoon, which is an East Coast brewery. They have an oatmeal stout.
Yep.
And then Ipswich. So that's real specific East Coast. It's called Ipswich Oatmeal Stout. And that's Mercury Brewing.
Interesting.
But that's the style of beers, another one of those, like the pale ale, that homebrewers revived. So a lot of breweries that you'll see, and this is probably why this is the way it is, a lot of breweries that have been around 30 years or so, 40 almost now, these are recipes that they perfected over time. So a lot of times you'll see a oatmeal stout as one of their core beers because it's been around that long, because it was their milkshake IPA of the time when everybody wanted to perfect it, or even a hazy IPA. Right. Homebrewers are doing those now, but back then this was like the hot beer. Okay. And a lot of those breweries you'll see, like Empyrean has one, and trying to think of some other that's about the oldest brewery here in Nebraska that would fall into the category. But most breweries that we've talked about, founders, anybody that's been around 25, 30 years, they have a beer that's like this.
Interesting.
So that's what I have for us just on that Oatmeal Stout research.
Even this far into my beer journey, I shy away from the Oatmeal Stout because I don't understand it.
It's actually just another notch up from Stout, and it's not quite to Imperial Stout. It's like a little bit in the middle.
I don't think I would. I think I would give it a shot here wherever we go now. I think I would try it just based on, not necessarily based on this one, but just based on kind of how far we've come and the different kinds of beers that we've tried. And then understanding what's the difference. Like, what does the oatmeal really do?
Yeah, really, it's just a way to smooth it out, tamp down. Because if you didn't probably add the oatmeal to this and you kept the coffee amount the same, it would be bitter.
It would.
And this has 30, looks like it says 30 IBUs.
31 is what I wrote down. Which
is pretty standard for like a stout. Maybe it's a little high for a stout. Usually some of those are maybe in the 20s. But it's lower than a pale ale. It's way lower than an IPA. But coffee generally has a bitterness to it. And this helps kind of carve that off and make it a little bit more approachable, I would say.
Gotcha. I think I would definitely, if you gave me a menu, let's say I go to random new brewery, if I'm in, I don't even know, South Dakota, doesn't matter. And this is one of them, I give this a shot. I would probably try this. I would definitely default to where I'm at right now. Lagers, Pilsners, that type of thing. Then I would go hazy IPAs. Then I would go, but I wouldn't shy away from this now.
What do you think, Dolan?
I'm enjoying it.
Oh.
I'm enjoying it a lot. Yeah.
Remember in the beginning when Dolan didn't like beer?
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. I was going to say, last episode you talked about, or no, just earlier, this episode.
I'm not the only one.
You talked about not really liking stouts at all, right?
Right.
So going back to the first episode of this, I didn't know what craft beer was. I mean, I knew what it was, but remember my
really
favorite beer
it,
at that time was the Longboard or
from Kona.
Yeah, or Blue Moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no shame in Blue Moon. I still enjoy Blue Moon every once in a while.
I think Blue Moon complements a lot of food.
Yeah, that style does for sure.
Drink what you want. Doesn't give it. It doesn't matter. Drink what you want.
Anybody got any funny coffee stories? I feel like this is a good time to have coffee. Anything?
I mean, I don't think you joke about coffee.
That's true.
It's just
very important deal.
It's just delicious, and it's just, no, I don't know.
We have recently upped our coffee intake at my house. Baby 2 has showed up.
Yep.
My wife is no longer limited to her caffeine amounts, and we frankly need it.
Yeah.
I read something the other day that was talking about it's basically a placebo effect, coffee.
I don't care.
And you get that amperage in the morning. It's maybe self-generated because you're drinking this stuff. And then by the afternoon, you're like, oh, man, what happened to me? I don't care. That's why I drink it all day long. You don't have to worry about that crash. I will tell you a quick coffee story.
Okay.
I used to
I've
not
got
like
one
coffee.
after you.
Right? So I was not anti-coffee, but it just wasn't for me.
Yep.
Like growing up, when I'd be on the farm, my grandparents would drink it for breakfast and lunch. It could be 110 degrees outside, and they'd be drinking coffee. So I guess I was in college. Finally was like, okay, there's a coffee scene in Lincoln, especially around the campus. There's a place called the Coffee House. My wife used to go there and study. You could stay there all night long, drink coffee, and get your work done, right?
Super original name, by the way.
Exactly. So I went there with my friend Mark one time. We're like, he's a little bit older than me. He had drank coffee before. I really hadn't. This is like really my first foray into going to a coffee shop and getting coffee and sitting down on the real beat up couch, with the board game that's missing pieces, that whole scene. So we're sitting there and we're drinking our coffees, and it's probably around lunchtime, maybe a little before. So we're drinking them, and after this, we had the day off, we're going to go thrift shopping.
Oh, yeah.
Something we like to do, look for records and different stuff. So we drink these coffees, we head out to the thrift shop. I started not feeling good.
Uh-oh. I know where this is
I get
going.
this rumble.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, what? Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh, no. It's like, can I make it someplace? Can I go home? No, I cannot go home.
No.
There's no bathroom at the place we're at.
Uh-oh.
And I am full-fledged. I got to go.
Yeah.
This is a coffee attack. So we both hobble out. It hits him too.
Oh.
We both hobble out of the place. We're like, where are we going to go? Rich spilled, by the way.
Yeah. Well.
Yay.
Yeah.
What do we spot across the street?
Okay.
Empyrean Ales. Laszlo's Brewery.
Yes.
I basically break down the front door.
Yep.
They're open, but not open for business. Like, they're getting ready to serve lunch.
Uh-oh.
So it's not 11 o'clock yet. It's
Okay.
close.
Oh, wow.
And we don't even ask. I've been there many times. I just run up the stairs. I know where the bathroom is, and he's right behind me. Kick in the door to the bathroom. Thank God nobody's in there. And I get rid of some hazelnut coffee. And I've never looked back.
Yeah.
Hazelnut every morning now. My body just didn't know what was going on.
It was confused.
I was like, what is this hot liquid doing in here?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
It liked it, but then it had the other effect.
It had it, yes.
Yep.
And it's weird how that changes over time. It doesn't
yeah.
do that to me anymore, but it was like instantaneous, let's get out of here situation.
Mm-hmm. It still does it to me, and that's why, like Dolan says, he opts for the Red Bull. Like if I go on a trip, if I know I'm driving a long distance or whatever, I will opt for the Red Bull instead of the coffee.
Sure.
Just because it doesn't have the same effect, and if you're in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska,
That's not great.
Nah, that's not a good thing. No.
What do you think, Dolan?
I like the beer. My coffee story definitely won't top that one. That one's pretty good. And I tell these stories all the time because there is just a lot of crazy things that happened while I managed the gas station.
Oh boy.
This time it was guy came on all the time and he got coffee all the time. And every single day he would complain about the coffee. Just something's wrong with it. It's not new, which it wasn't because I always did the coffees in the morning, whatever it was.
Yep.
Finally, he came in, and what he would try to do is he would top it off with the cappuccino. And our manager was like the head of like 20, 30 stores or whatever was in there in the morning. And this went on for about a year and a half, him complaining about the coffee. Something's wrong with it, whatever. He was just trying to get free coffee.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And the manager was in there that morning, and he topped it off with cappuccino, like he always did. I never charged him for it because it was just full glass coffee, top it off with cappuccino, whatever. Well, the manager was like adamant with this guy. I'm charging you for a cappuccino. Like, you got a cappuccino. Doesn't matter if it's 10% cappuccino, you're getting the cappuccino. And I thought this, like, I don't know, he had to be late 60s. He was an old guy, barely walking old guy. And I thought he was going to come over the counter and just destroy this manager over some cappuccino. So, like, when people say that they love coffee or that they like coffee, like, it's true. And this is just gas station coffee. This is not anything special, you know. I could tell you that it's very watered down. And he came unglued.
Wow.
Yeah.
So back in the day, when I was growing up, my dad ran a theater, movie theater. And just maybe, probably six businesses down from the theater, there was a cafe where they served like breakfast and stuff. But then they would stay open at night. And then maybe 6 businesses down from there was an arcade.
And I know which one you were at.
Miniature golf, right?
Yeah.
So here was the deal. My dad would give me his coffee cup, and he would give me a quarter. And I would go down to the cafe, and I would get his coffee for him with 1 sugar and bring it back, and I would pay them the quarter for it. And then I would come back, and he would give me another quarter, and I would run down to the arcade, and I would play Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Or in this case, it was just Punch-Out.
Sure, yeah.
Right? So that was a fairly common evening for me.
Yeah.
Now, once the people at the cafe caught on what was happening, they would just let me keep the quarter.
Oh, nice.
So then I would have 2 quarters. Nice. But I never told my dad that I played 2 games of Mike Tyson's.
That's right.
2 games of Punch-Out instead of just 1. So I never could beat Bald Bull. Never, ever could beat him.
He's tough.
Yep. So there you go. My coffee story is not nearly as cool, but it brings back good memories. And to this day, I drink my coffee with 1 sugar.
Wow.
Just
a little tip of the cap.
A little tip of the cap to my dad.
Well, I have a little bit more research, and this is to clear up some confusion. The Quad Cities.
On the 5 quads?
I've heard about the Quad Cities. I've been to one of the Quad Cities.
I
don't know really much anything about it. So I just did a little bit of research about it. So we're going to learn some of that stuff now.
Okay.
Davenport and Bettendorf, Iowa. I have been to Davenport. And I will say it is a beautiful river town. Amazing.
It is.
Beautiful. The scenery's great. It's got some casino action going on. It's fun.
I had some good chicken gizzards there.
There you go. If you're weird gizzards.
Dylan's got some weird food stories on the road.
Yeah.
Weird.
If you like turkey bladders and gizzards, hit to Davenport.
Yeah.
Moline and Rock Island. All right. So I wrote down just Moline information. It's the corporate and world headquarters of Deere and Company, a.k.a. John Deere. They also have something there called the South Park Mall. It's the 3rd busiest airport in Illinois. You want to guess the first 2?
I don't even. Des Moines?
In Illinois.
Oh, in Illinois. Okay. Well, O'Hare.
Uh-huh.
And then probably, what's the small
Midway.
One? Midway.
And then this place.
Okay.
So it's the 3rd biggest airport in Illinois.
Illinois and Iowa. There we go.
Moline comes from the French word of moulin, which was mill town. Okay. And that's how it got its name, because of the Mississippi River. There were multiple mills there. It was settled in the late 1700s, early 1800s. In 1720, there was a Native American settlement there. It was called Sackanuk. And it was, because it was by the river, there was fertile land to farm. And then there was, because of the waterway, there was a way to get up and down, and also there was animals, so there was food source for everybody there. In 1832, you've maybe heard of this guy. His name was Chief Blackhawk. He was in one of the tribes there in that area, which was Sac and Fox. Those are 2 different tribes. You've heard of the Sac and Fox Casino.
Absolutely.
Around here.
I've lost
commercials
some money
on the radio.
Yeah.
In 1832, they had something that was called the Blackhawk War. So settlers were coming in and saying, hey, guess what? We bought this land. And they're like, well, we live here. And they fought over it. And the natives lost and moved north. And that kind of started more people coming into the Quad City area.
Gotcha.
1849 is when John Deere moved his company from Grand Detour, Illinois to Moline, and was making farm implements, and they are now the huge juggernaut that they are today. In this area, in the Quad Cities specifically, was mostly Swedish immigrants. And they were, wanted. The people were, sending out invitations almost to those countries to bring the Swedish people here in Sweden, because they rarely went on strike. So they would work hard. And they were like, oh, cool. Well, we want that in this town. They said that Moline, unlike some of the other ones, was not a shoot-'em-up river town. So there wasn't a lot of crime. A lot of that reason was because of the people that lived there.
Yep.
So it was safer, because most of the time back then, especially 1850s, 60s, 70s, a lot of crime on the river town. People would come in on boats and whatever, and they do their thing and they get out. And that was not the case in Moline. I wrote this down. It was a quote I found from a newspaper article. It said, it was in 1854, a much duller town could not be scared up this side of Sleepy Hollow. So you're not going to Moline to, blow your bank wad and have a good time. You're probably not going to do it.
All right. There's something appealing about that.
I guess if you're not the lawbreaker, you might want to live in Moline.
Sure.
They have there a single A baseball team.
Okay.
Quad City River Bandits.
River Bandits, yeah.
They're in Astros. Last I checked. Some famous folks that are from there. Oh, did I write this down? There's a big arena that's in this town, and they had like an arena football league when that first kind of started. And now it's like mostly concerts and that sort of stuff, conventions. But that's pretty new. Some of the famous quote-unquote people that are from there, Dayton Moore, who's my team's general manager, Kansas City Royals, is from Moline. Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
I was hoping you guys would know that. I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Wow.
WWE.
Interesting.
Guy. Let's
Still,
write him down.
still WWE?
I don't know
Or
if
did he
he's still
jump?
WWE, but
Is he
he was
new?
there he's newer wrestler.
Okay.
So he's from there, from Moline. And then this is one I was interested to research, a guy named Jack Barlow, who is a country musician in the 60s and 70s. I'm hoping we can find this. He is known for one of his songs, came out in 1975, called The Man on Page 602. And this is a story song about a Sears catalog. And on page 602, there was a male guy, a model, modeling underwear, who inadvertently showed more than he was wanting to.
Uh-oh.
And that, in turn, became a hit song called The Man on Page 602, which I've never heard in my life. But yeah, this guy is from Moline.
I bet that's a great song.
I'm guessing it's kind of like a Jerry Reed or, what's the guy that wrote
Don McLean.
something? Yeah, it's like a long story song.
Yeah.
A lot of words, but
Oh, who's the Woody Guthrie?
Woody Guthrie, yeah.
Maybe.
Folk guy. But yeah, those are the three names I could come up with of people that were from this area that maybe we would know about.
Kind of had to reach deep there on the last one.
I did, but the story about an underwear model in the Sears catalog in 1975. You can't tell me you didn't peek at the Sears catalog.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, I did too.
Without a doubt.
Dolan didn't have to. He had the
But
internet.
here's the deal: like you got baseball, you got wrestling, and you got kind of pop culture in there. So
Those are my things, right?
Yeah, interesting.
So that's my little Quad Cities / Moline information.
I wish I could. I wish I could say that like TripAdvisor would tell you different, right? That TripAdvisor would say no, this it is boring here or whatever. Nah, it was 4.5 out of 5 out of 207
Nice.
reviews. 207, and they averaged that.
This brewery is on a very, I don't want to say famous street, but it's one that is a historic part of Moline.
Okay.
That they spent a lot of time and effort to like revitalize and bring back. So similar to like our downtown or Lincoln's Haymarket.
Oh, yeah.
It's something that a lot of the buildings are a couple hundred years old, and that's why this brewery is there. To capture those folks that are just down there to see the sights and walk around and do the shopping. So it sounds kind of like a fun area of town, close to the river, old and historic.
Yep.
And the building itself is historic, and it's been there for quite a while. And it sounds like a fun stop if you're in that area.
I don't want to stereotype by age, but this explains a lot, right?
Yeah.
This explains why this is their flagship beer. I know what Dolan would go do, right? I mean, when they went to Chicago, I
Yeah.
know what they did, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe what you and I would
Yeah.
do, or our parents would
Yeah.
do, would be something totally different. And
Sure.
historic district sounds pretty damn awesome to me.
With some antiquing thrown
Oh,
in. Yeah.
Oh, right now.
Yeah.
Because like you said, there's food, and I know I can get some good beers.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, not that Dolan wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah. That's maybe not his highest priority.
But he would walk down the street to the arena and go see a concert.
Sure, yeah.
Not that you wouldn't do that, obviously.
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't walk, but I get you.
Dolan's motivation would be go to the concert, then go to this area.
Sure, yeah.
Yep.
My motivation would be go antiquing and go to this area and then go to
Sure.
the brewery.
Yeah. I'm kind of in the same boat.
Yeah, you know.
As long as we end up with the beer, it doesn't matter. How we
I
get
think
it.
in the end,
Yeah.
we both end up with beers in our hand, which is just fine. Okay, Untapped. I was surprised by this. For it being around as long as it has,
Small.
17,000 check-ins.
Yeah, that's low.
Not very many.
For a flagship beer.
Not a ton of distribution,
There's
though.
also not a lot of people in this place.
No.
And let's be honest. Moline, Illinois is not the place you go on vacation usually.
No. Oh, I've driven through there multiple times going to Chicago. Never stopped. Never stopped.
Maybe you can next time.
I might. Based on this, I might.
Might be fun, yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so 17,000 check-ins. Where do you think we land?
I feel like it's low.
Really?
Yeah. Because I have a feeling there's not a lot of beer snob untappers in Moline, Illinois. That's just my gut.
Okay.
I'm going to say 3.52.
I'm going to go opposite. I'm going to go 3.8.
3.59.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Close.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's just, but okay, so here's the thing. Is this one that you're seeking out? Or is this one that you just order because it's on the menu?
You got it, yeah.
And then you're happy about it, right? I mean, that's the difference. Maybe last week we had a higher rating for the Deftones beer than I thought we would.
Well, this is kind of an event, right? The Deftones beer, that's
Sure.
like a special thing. And this is one that is always around.
Okay.
So that might have something to do with it, too.
But it's been always around since 2012.
I mean, there's a reason for that, too.
So
It's not off the menu.
I guess you can't argue with 3.59. You can't argue with it. It's fine. That's
super drinkable.
Mm-hmm.
It's approachable. If you like coffee, you'll like this beer because that's basically what you're getting is cold coffee.
I think it's very approachable. I mean,
There you go.
Yeah, I think this is for me. It's a 4. It's a 3.75 to a 4 all day long.
Do you see why roasted coffee?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
With 2 slammers.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. And I'll tell you, I've been pretty rough on Untapped lately. Like,
Yeah.
I've had some beers that have not been very good. And maybe it's just where my head's at right
Maybe
now.
it's not on Tap's fault.
It's not on Tap's fault, but it's certainly the brewery's fault for putting out those beers because are you serious with some of these?
Oh, boy.
Man. Okay. Yeah. Look, I don't want to disparage anyone for producing something that they love, but man.
I like on here it has their Facebook and their Twitter
Yes.
on the label, which is nice. Not many places have that.
Go check out their bottle art. Like just
Yeah.
their art
Pretty cool.
is just pretty great.
well, the one on this one, there is a story about the mask that's on the front of this bottle.
Read it to us.
It says, if you have set foot in our Moline, Illinois Brewpub any time in the last 20 plus years, you may have noticed the Mask of
That word.
Celuluk?
Celuluk.
Celuluk, yeah. Hanging above our brew house and looking over the bar and dining room. He was there when we brewed the very first batch of Uncommon Stout and still watches over the brewing process to this day. The next time you crack open a bottle of Uncommon Stout, give a toast to Celuluk.
He's just like a weird baboon looking guy.
I wish they would
right?
say
Yeah.
where that's from.
Me
It
too.
looks almost like Inuit, Alaskan, like Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
I don't know.
In my head, when they moved into the place, like they found it there.
Yeah, it's haunted.
Yeah,
Don't
right.
remove it.
Like it's just hanging there and they're like,
That's
there it
him.
is.
Yeah.
We
That's
gotta
him.
put him on the label.
And then they didn't give him a normal name like Gary or something.
No.
They're just like, okay, we got to look this up. Oh, those masks, that's Sinew.
You know,
or whatever.
Celuluk.
Right. And they just honor him, and that's why
he's
they
on a label, and it looks pretty cool.
yeah.
pretty great.
Whatever the story is behind it, it makes for a great label.
I bet you if you went to the tap room in Moline, you could get a little bit more info than what's this little blurb.
Yeah.
Someday.
Someday. Get that pastrami sandwich for me.
Oh, I love pastrami.
Me too.
Do they make their own pastrami?
I don't know.
Because that would be even better.
Yeah. They might.
All right. Next week, it's going to be fun. I can't wait for next week. It's going to be a blast. Not only is it a style that I love, but I know Brian has some pretty fantastic research. I don't know this for a fact, but I know based on who he is, he's got some pretty fantastic research. And then 2 weeks from now, I'm going to tease one that you guys don't even, that I talked
I
about.
was going to say, I don't even know.
You don't even know.
Okay. Oh,
this
boy.
has got Dolan written all over it. I may we should let him do some of the research on this. I got 3 cans of the Warheads beer.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Yes. So we
Wow.
are. Yeah.
Wow is right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I can't wait. So 2 great weeks coming up here. I can't wait. Fellas, we're not going anywhere for a while.
Let's have another beer.
Thank you for listening to A Beer with Atlas. Special thanks to our brand team for producing the show. Each episode of A Beer with Atlas is powered by Atlas MedStaff, an industry leader in travel healthcare staffing.